stand. Let's just stare at it for a little bit. Hey everybody, how you doing? Rockman Johnson and C. Ray Johnson here coming at you. Normally we do these lives off of our nutraceutical page, but
so if you haven't joined it yet, check it out and like us.
Yeah, come and check out all the information we have on there, all of our live videos and other information that we share with people
on health, nutrition, uplifting, inspirational things, fitness, of course.
Yep. So today we're going to do something just a little different. We're going to get real. And we're discussing inflammation, pain, being recovered, depression, all those things that come not only with autoimmune issues and fibromyalgia, but just life in general. Like right now, Carolyn is experiencing a lot of knee pain, and we want to share and just get as real as we can. So Carolyn wanted to cover stuff about inflammation, but just because you're on a holistic journey doing things naturally doesn't mean that you
won't have pain.
Right, pain and flare-ups and depression, all those other things that come with dealing with autoimmune and fibromyalgia and let's face it, life in general. So I'll let Carolyn talk right now since she's the one experiencing some of the pain, and she has some information she'd like to share about inflammation.
Yeah, just to talk about inflammation, it's all over. If you're dealing with an injury, there's an inflammatory process going on, and it depends on what you take in your diet. Foods, sugars. A lot of people still drink soda. Around here, we know it as pop.
Yeah.
And there's just so much sugar in there. High fructose corn syrup. It's so inflammatory for the body. So bad for you. But when somebody drinks it, and I used to, back in the day, it's so sweet. So then your taste buds change and you kind of crave that extra sweetness, and your body just isn't fulfilled because you're lacking nutrition. Right. So other things don't have the same appeal, like good foods, because they're not as sweet. But once you break that sugar addiction, give yourself about 2 weeks, 15 days, you start to notice how good real whole foods really are. And sweet, I mean, vegetables will start to taste sweet to you. You could pick up the sweetness and good things into your diet. And that's what's hard to break that sugar addiction, because it is an addiction. It's just like it's like cocaine. I mean, you are addicted to sugar.
It does elicit the same area of the brain that a heroin or cocaine addiction does. So it's a very hard thing to break. It also, what a lot of people don't realize, is it does change the hormonal balance in the gut culture. Sure. So it kind of makes you
have a brain-gut connection going on, and it all interacts and it relates to each other. When you have an injury in the brain, you have the disconnect. So there's a disease process can start, such as autoimmune disease or fibromyalgia. And with fibromyalgia, it kind of goes hand in hand with chronic fatigue, and it can be intense. And of course, then you have the pain to deal with. And then with the pain, you have going to your doctors who like to prescribe some medications that really aren't even approved for pain. A lot of them are approved for other things, like as being an anticonvulsant instead. And I talk about that. We talked about that in our other video. A couple of them that are really bad, especially if they are paired with a narcotic. It could be deadly. That they're that bad, because they both work on suppressing the respiratory system. Right. And so you can find there are natural ways to help with pain, and depending on your pain, if it involves nerves, with neuropathy, or with fibromyalgia, you get certain intense nerve pains. If you have both, you still have joint pain, tender spots, but when you have the nerve pain, all of a sudden it could just come on, and your skin is so sensitive, the nerve endings, that all of a sudden a light touch can be really piercing and sharp. And you don't even have to touch the skin to feel these sensations, and it can be sharp, shard-like, like glass. Water can feel like your skin is burning, that type of thing. So then you have to play around with what natural remedies work best for that, which then you get into other things such as CBD oils and different strains of that to help really combat that nerve pain.
Right. And when you start talking nerve pain or nerve inflammation, CBDs only go so far. So then you start talking, which is an area that's kind of touchy and tricky because you're talking about a balance of the THC in CBD oil. And for us,
and
who
it's
aren't
depending where
looking
you live and your
right.
balance, and it takes a lot of thought, a lot of education and investigation on your part to really invest your time into researching these oils and which will work better for you, because some are geared more towards anxiety to help calm you down, and others really hit the pain. And there's different studies out there. There's a lot of research, and there's a whole lot of companies on board selling it all over.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard, and you want to make sure they're manufactured, in a right environment, and they're not contaminated, and it's like the hemp isn't grown in contamination.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Some of the ways that they pull the oils from the plant are
and if it's blended with
not
anything
healthy.
that cuts it. So there's a lot of things to look at, and a good idea is to find a natural path and to go to them, and they could even specifically go over your whole history with any kind of illnesses, diseases, injuries, your diet, your exercise, everything, and set you up with exactly what you need specifically for you. And even talk about where things are grown. That's right. Same thing with fruits and vegetables. If you know where you're getting your vegetables, I know like organic can be costly in the stores. Try farmers markets. It's very accessible, and if you know that they don't spray with the pesticides,
right.
because some of them are
growing practices are really important.
Starting to be manipulated with GMOs, and when you get that big ripe piece of fruit that looks like it's too good to be true, like it's plastic, and you bite into it and it's just like it doesn't even taste like, we've had strawberries before because we like strawberries. Well, I like chocolate, so chocolate and strawberries pair well.
The strawberries is the catalyst to get the chocolate.
But when you
mouth.
get the strawberry and it's like tastes like garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, where was this grown? So. And the same thing with, honey. You have to be careful with honey. Your beekeeper. It has to be natural honey. Make sure that, it's not just a syrup concoction of high fructose corn syrup and has other contaminants, blended in with it, where it's actually causing more damage,
Right.
Yeah.
And the plants where the bees collect their honey from, not that you can control that fully, but you do have some control if it's a farmer that is has organically grown.
And a lot
foods.
of beekeepers go to farmers markets too, which is great.
That's
and
nice.
If you have the accessibility to grow your own, that's probably the best thing.
Absolutely.
If you have the spot to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
on that bee note, with the
bugs.
I'm not a fan of bugs, but yeah. In my world, in my green pastures, there's probably just butterflies, ladybugs, the ones that don't bite. Bees, honey bees, because you need the honey, it's allergy and all that, and
How about that one time we went for a hike in the woods? Bonds Lake?
That was a horror flick in real life. We went, it's just beautiful there, pristine, walking up into the woods, gorgeous. And all of a sudden I hear rain, and I'm looking and I'm feeling, I'm like, that's not rain, and I can hear it. I'm thinking, oh no, that's not rain, that's bugs. I think I ran so fast out of there, only to get tangled in a bunch of web from caterpillars. It was a nightmare. It was like the more I moved, the more I had.
The mosquitoes, caterpillars,
my daughter, and ticks.
black flies, and then by the end of it, ticks.
My daughter hightailed it down the apple orchard. I went right behind her, and it was like, they can run. Oh my gosh, it was awful.
Yeah,
and then
Aiden was amazed to see his mom and his sister.
Somehow we had ticks that made it through the laundry. It's just bugs aren't very in my world, but honeybees,
Honeybees are
have a
good.
good function.
Butterflies, they're cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will,
So we get off
we'll,
track.
yeah, we'll get off the bugs now and get on with, just more about pain and
Pain,
inflammation.
yeah,
Let's
pain
get
is-
real for a second. As a spouse of somebody that's going through,
When you
type
when
of
you can't
inflammation.
sleep because you're in pain, and you wake up because you're in pain several times through the night, your feet, your knees, your hips, any movement, it's it could be rough, and it could weigh on you, and I could easily see how somebody could become downcast and depressed over it because
And not
it's
getting
just-
out of
it's
bed,
chronic.
and-
It's
yeah.
every day. It's all the time. Unless you find the right natural things that could help relieve
Right,
your pain.
and it relieves the pain, but
If
again,
you go natural, which is always better.
right, and again, it doesn't always, nothing's perfect 100% until you get down to root causes. That's why we're not big on pharmaceuticals, not only because they have all these side effects, but
Well, it
they
masks-
they mask
the
symptoms,
and they don't get to the root cause,
and
and then
they
you
can-
end up with other problems
Right.
that affect your organs and
your
Yeah.
liver, your internals, your gut culture, all that stuff, and all those things just
and they can even affect your mental health as well. Depending on what is prescribed. And I think across the board, the way the doctors now, because in light of the opioid epidemic, they're leaning away from that, and they're kind of across the board been prescribing gabapentin and Cymbalta, the main two for pain, and they're not meant for pain, and they have a
right.
whole
They're
host of
anti-seizure
nasty side effects.
medications,
Yeah.
and their effect on pain is probably just as
No
good as
better
an
than an
over-the-counter.
ibuprofen.
Right.
So it's not worth the risk. And also it's important to note, if you are on it, talk to your doctor, wean off of it, don't stop immediately, because it increases suicidal tendencies.
Right.
But if people don't know and they just take what the doctor prescribes to them, and you're the last line of defense, it is up to you. You are the one putting it in your mouth. The doctor will prescribe it, your pharmacist will fill it. Hopefully they catch and know if you are taking anything else or it's going to interact with. But even honesty too, when people are in pain, and if they are going to look for street drugs, anything to stop the pain, you still got to let them know if they're going to prescribe something, because it can have deadly consequences.
Yep.
You
So
know,
do your research.
really
you
gotta be careful
You have to
when
be
it
your own
comes to-
advocate. And there's a lot of out there that not everybody's able to advocate for themselves or be educated on it. But you need to.
And
you
even
need to take the
read
time.
all, know the side effects, know all the drug interactions, everything, because the pharmaceutical reps, it's their job to woo the doctors and for these drugs, and a lot of them are pulled off the market for deadly reasons.
Yep,
afterwards.
bad
I know I
side
was
effects.
prescribed a couple things back in the day that they yanked off that market. That it was so, and I foolishly remember taking something. It was just like, it was awful, and I'm thinking, this is supposed to help? Are you kidding me? And I'd rather have the pain,
Right.
than, yeah.
Yep. And even holistically taking care of something. There are some plants out there that are very effective for pain relief and for other issues in your
Sure.
body. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't overdose on certain holistic
Right, you
herbal.
need to really
you need
be careful. And it, like I said, it is good to look into a homeopathic
right.
care
Yep. And
provider.
if you're a DIY type of people like we are, educating ourselves on making tinctures and other
These
herbal
tinctures
remedies.
gets absorbed quicker and it's on sublingual, and so it helps a lot quicker to monitor your pain levels.
Right. And, yep.
And we even do it with turmeric, or a lot of people say turmeric with
Turmeric,
black pepper to increase
ginger,
absorption.
We do it with
Yeah.
pine
Pine
pollen, lemon zest, right? Tinctures. We're looking into some other tinctures that we're going to start playing with and experimenting with. There's a plant called
Yeah.
wild lettuce that is supposed to be amazing for pain relief, and it grows around here.
Well,
You
with
can-
that too, you have to be careful with how much.
Right,
you
like
take,
we were saying, yep.
because you would have to even take in consideration your size, your weight. If you're petite, compared to somebody very big or robust, there's a big size weight difference.
Right.
And you really
So
have to be
dosaging is
careful with that.
important. You have to learn. You do have to educate yourself on it. It's not something you just jump into without doing research. But the benefit of it is if you're doing it in the right way, there's there's no side effects. It's, for the most part, it's food, right? Your body knows what to do with it, knows what to do with the nutrients, and take care of that. So it makes it more effective to do it holistically than medicinally. And again,
just like
this is just
into your diet.
This is opinion in our thoughts on in research. We're not doctors. We're not.
I personally have not taken wild lettuce yet. We've thought about it. I want to do more research into that as well.
So,
but evening primrose oil for nerve pain.
This is our opinion. We're not doctors. Always check with your doctor, your pharmacist, in a natural,
like a
homeopath, just to verify that certain things are right for you.
But I talk about a lot of things in the new book as well. I think this is going to be backwards on here. But it's autoimmune disease and fibromyalgia, the brain injury connection, the traumatic brain injury connection. I don't keep forgetting to say traumatic. But if anybody wanted to jump on board with that, we have a pre-sale still going on at a reduced price for $12.99, free shipping, where we could just PayPal you an invoice. And I have a lot of natural things in here, and I talk about diet, and I talk about pain, and even some tools, even for fitness-wise and just for mobility-wise. Because when you're in pain, let's face it, you don't feel like moving, but sometimes walking for me helps, because my joints get to be bad. But once I start walking, after a period of time, I can take longer strides, and it kind of stretches out as I walk, and that helps. And then once I slow down, the pain's back.
Yeah.
But at least it's like, okay, I get outside, get the fresh air, get the nice scenery and some form of exercise, because mobility can be a problem. Even when your hands, your joints hurt.
And if you stop moving, it doesn't get better. It gets worse.
Yeah.
So,
but there's and I have to talk about different tools in here too. And I have to do another shout out to Matt Dahl, our friend from the Sand Dune, and
he's the creator of the Sand Dune. It's
a great
tool.
That is a great tool, and I talk about it intensely in the book as well. That helps with so many things, just from core stability, balance, fitness. It helps your limbic system, your lymphatic system, helps with proprioception, and it helps with mobility. It's a low impact portable device, and it's wonderful. So thank you, Matt. You are changing lives, and I knew right when we tried it out, I had to place it in here, and it's already getting into physical therapy offices, and there's so many, it helps with Parkinson's, and there's just so many.
A lot of benefits
things.
to it.
And it's great, because when you're in pain or you have difficulty with mobility, you feel limited, and when you're downcast or a little depressed, you even feel more. You really don't feel like doing the exercises, even though they will help boost those good endorphins for you and help you feel better. It's just getting to that point to do it,
right,
because of how you're feeling.
Yep.
But there are so many things that can help. It's not the end all because you have an injury, or you have an autoimmune disease, or you have fibromyalgia, or you've had all. It's not the end. You can keep going day by day and persevering through, and seeing what helps to minimize your pain. And some days you're almost pain free, and some days are better than others with swelling or mobility problems, or joint stiffness, or all that.
So getting real and kind of personal here, as far as being a caregiver, a loved one, or a spouse, or a family member for somebody going through this thing with pain and inflammation. For the person that's not experiencing or feeling it, you learn one thing. You learn patience. You also learn not to be so sensitive to certain things, because there'll be times where me, just as a loving gesture, I'll come up and touch Carolyn or want to massage her, but she's in
Sometimes
pain.
it's okay, and other times it's like, oh,
right. And there's pain
because
there.
it's like intensified. But that was fine. But you just don't know.
See, that felt good, so I might as well
I
just
guess
go
I
at
get
it
a
now.
back rub now.
But see, this is not fair. I'm kind of
my pain seems to be all
trapped into
lower
this.
at the moment.
But what I'm getting at is the hard part about it is if, especially if you're sensitive, and your spouse or loved one says don't touch me or I'm in pain, you could take it personally. And in the beginning, I did it. It was a really difficult shift for us. There were times where I didn't understand that she was in pain, or early on when she had trouble with speech and walking and all that. So that's a really hard shift for her that's never had to deal with that before. And so not only is it really hard on her trying to express what she's going through, but for me not feeling the pain or understanding what she's experiencing. Now there's a difficulty of me trying to cope with this new.
You can see what's going on in
Right.
somebody else. Just like a head injury, it's a hidden injury. It's not like you have a broken arm and you're in the cast, that you can see.
Right.
But when it's internal, whatever is going on, it's hard to see unless something is visible. Like if the inflammation is really bad and you can see distorted joints or something, then
Right.
you know something's going
But
on.
sometimes just she looks normal.
Or if you're just like waddling across the floor, then you might just laugh.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we could be insensitive in our misunderstanding
It's all
of,
good. I
of what's
understand.
going on. But like I said, something could look completely normal. But this touch right here, if she's inflamed, and she may not realize it until I've touched her,
Yeah.
her nerves could be so sensitive to it that it feels like shards of glass or some other kind of pain going on in
Yeah, or
her
even like in the
body. So-
shower, sometimes even with my hands, sometimes doing the dishes, all of a sudden it just feels like fire, and it's just the water hitting it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's tough on all points, and two things. You see a lot of relationships either grow stronger through things like this, or separate because they never fill that. I'm trying to think of a word. Bridge that gap of what's going on with her and the other person's emotional state. So we're both dealing with separate issues on it, and it's trying to talk, communicate, and understand what's going on. It comes down to
Right.
communication.
Well, because everybody wants their needs, so like if you want a need taken care of, right, and then you with me, but if I'm, then you have to, it's understanding on your part, or vice versa.
Right.
Yeah,
Like if I'm sitting
like
in.
if you're exhausted and I'm like suddenly have the second wind and not fatigued,
And there's that
Or
becomes an issue
something.
too, because sometimes you don't understand that one day she could be running around just
And I
conquering
can-
the world, and the next day she could be shut down in pain and in slow moving.
super
So,
fatigued.
So we're talking about getting needs met. So like basically what she's saying is if I'm sitting down in front of the TV watching a TV show and I'm enjoying myself, I'm relaxed, and she's in the kitchen and I yell out, "Hey woman, make me a sandwich," I may not get the response I was looking for, and I definitely won't get the sandwich.
You'll still ask me, bring me my water, bring me a glass. And where's my glasses? It's like they're right next to you.
you get, you get into a certain mode in a relationship where you're used to
You
the
like
other
to see
person.
me model.
I do, and I just like passing things off to you. Here,
That
honey,
you do.
hold this.
I have
Or,
to make sure my hands are already full.
See, this is how I look at it. This may be sexist, but a woman carries a purse, right?
Not always.
A woman,
Not always.
when she's carrying a purse, carries it.
Because when I don't, you have nothing to put your keys in, and you're so disappointed.
Don't give me any hate talk here, but this is important. This is important. You guys might
You've
be able.
got big pockets in your pants.
Well, they're like they're
You can
what do they
fit
call
these.
these? It's like
Shorts? They're shorts.
purse pants, right? The cargo
What?
pants are just
Cargo
purse
pants.
pants.
Purse pants.
Yeah, because all the pockets, I can put a lot of
I've
stuff
never
in
heard
them.
that
Yeah,
before. But
Actually,
you don't
I
want
call
to put anything in them.
man bag pants. No, because they get weighed down. So
So it's okay for like my pockets and my
yeah,
clothes to get weighed
Well,
down.
let me get to
That's
my
why
point.
God made women stronger, 'cause they can handle it.
When you said the weaker vessel, they just meant delicate, but
Delicate.
not weaker. We still need a strong partner to help us, either just as strong, if not stronger than us, to help carry us through certain things. But what I was saying, as a man, and you see your wife, your girlfriend, carrying a purse, right? There's only two purposes in a man's mind why a woman carries a purse. One, to put
Snacks.
to put my keys into, or anything actually that I don't want to have in my pocket, to put in her purse. And if I have a cough or if I have I need a mint or a gum, it's her purse's purpose to have gum, mints, cough drops. So that's what a purse is for in a man's eyes. So let the hate comments begin. No. So
Where are you going with this?
I'm not going anywhere with it. I just figured if I could shut up, make me a sandwich, we could go to the purse too. But so
You know,
but
I'm feeling
seriously,
like chocolate. I've had chocolate in my purse before.
it gets melty in the summer.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't carry my purse so much.
So yeah, but back to the this, we like to joke around a lot and make light of it, but we've been through quite a battle with this and re-understanding where we stand and how to interact with each other. And I can imagine if it was like that for us, how many other couples have gone through and had relationships damaged and whatever because they could never come to an understanding, or they have such hurts inside that they never express to each other while they're going through this. And it's really important for both parties in a situation like this, one, step back, get with God and pray for wisdom and understanding on this, and then two, once you've put all your burdens on God, is to come together and talk to each other. Find out, because I didn't understand that this could set her off into a huge inflammation process just by doing this, right? And she may not understand that at that time I was feeling the need to love and touch and connect with her. So it goes into a couple different avenues. So there's my needs, and then there's her reality, right? And those things, when they conflict, can cause a lot of strife in a marriage and a relationship.
So it's good to communicate, and I know guys don't really like to communicate all
It's
that much.
tough, my gosh.
This is why you need to.
It's
good to communicate.
It is important.
See, that's your love language, touching. I like
Yep.
to like that quality time.
She likes to talk.
communicate.
Oh my gosh, she likes to talk.
So
I
it's
try
good
to
to
listen.
laugh. It's good to laugh because laughter is good medicine, and it kind of it takes your mind off of when you're got some pain going on. And
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, if anybody else is going through something like this, and we may not have all the answers, and we definitely don't.
we learn as we go.
We learn as we
and
go,
I
but
share as much as I can.
we do have over 4 years of experience dealing with this now, in the different stages that we've gone through. If anybody needs any help, or just someone to talk to about what you're going through, as a husband, I'd be more than happy to talk about my experiences, and Carolyn as a wife going through it. But and then on the other end, her being the person that's going through all the pain, she can speak with somebody else that is actually going through the processes up from a brain injury to autoimmune and all that stuff. And for my end, sorry, I'm reading something. Kendall, thank you. It's on my end, being on the other end, dealing with the emotional parts of it, of the trying to understand and express, and as a man, not being one that's willing to openly discuss what I'm feeling through. Like, grunts and groans and angry outbursts are good are not good. They're a way for a man to express themselves. They're not good. Trust me. We've been there. We've gone through it. We've had all ends of this, and when I tell you it's not pretty, it's messy. Sometimes it gets really messy, and
life is messy.
Real.
So, and everybody goes through something.
Yep. So yeah.
It's how you handle it and keep going and keep standing and making it through another day,
Right.
and sharing what you've learned to help somebody else, maybe just starting to go through it. I know the traumatic brain injury group page that I have. You can tell when people, the support group, and
Absolutely.
people are just newly injured. It is devastating because it hits everything. Your finances for sure, because you're not working. Your relationships, your marriage, kids, your future, your health. What can you do now? And if you can't talk, right? Like if your speech is impaired or your proprioception, driving. I don't drive that much, and if I do, it's only like a mile or so to my older daughter's house. I'm still working on my proprioception, and it thinks that it's sand dune.
Yep, absolutely. And
it's like a whole bunch of therapies wrapped into this fantastic.
And that dynamic also.
It hits everything.
Yeah.
And it could weigh on you and cause for sure worry. Like, well, what are you going to do now? And if you do too much too soon, you have a second impact, and which we experienced the whole thing. So it just really changes your life around, and you have to learn to accept it. You cannot fight what happens to you. You're not in
You
control.
can't live in denial. You can't wish things were like they were
accept it
before.
And get through as much as you can, the best way you can, with the best alternative therapies. Find the little things that help, and even the first 2 other brain books I have, whatever I found that helped me, I placed in there, and they could be just simple things to get through your day. You have memory problems. You forget you leave the stove on.
Yeah,
you forget, and you find yourself repeating the same thing.
And if you're used to relying on that,
and people get annoyed because they don't want to hear you say it again and again. We're like, well, I don't want to forget, so I'm like, I keep saying it.
Yeah, so we have to count down every night. We have to count down to make sure
so I have a little OCD too.
is shut down, right? So I have to count.
Yes, I count the stove. I count
from 1 to 5
it's
as she
I
looks
have
each
to
switch. So it's funny.
Make sure it's off.
It is funny,
I have
but
to make sure.
When you first start dealing with some of these things, it can be it can be frustrating because it
helps me focus because I hear you count and I see, and I have to have more than one thing of me doing something because I forgot. I have I'm a lot better with memory, but I have parts of my, there's things I just don't remember. And there's little things that I still obviously forget.
There's still moments.
And I still leave the stove on.
Right,
I have to stay right there.
There's
if
still
I walk
moments
out,
where
she'll
walk away and forget that the stove was on, or forget that something, a candle was burning.
Yes, you can't. We were really
those
careful.
little things.
So there's little things to remind me to help engage more senses.
One of the things you did was and that was for a while but you've gotten better since then.
Was
the bracelet to remind you.
For memory, wearing a bracelet with a bell, so I would hear the jingle if I put laundry in. I would hear the jingle to remind me, oh yeah, I did laundry today.
Yep.
That kind of thing. So a lot of little things, and if you're kind of at a state either from injury or an autoimmune, there's various causes for autoimmune diseases, and I go over that too, or fibromyalgia, and if you kind of hit a wall or a plateau with what to do next, health-wise, diet-wise, pain-wise, mobility-wise, I talk about all that, and just invoice, or send us a message, and we can send you an invoice if you wanted an early pre-order special. Because then it's going to go up to $15.
Plus shipping.
Plus shipping, but this will be with free shipping.
Right. Listen, this book is amazing, with lots of good input, tips, info on how to deal with your pain and other things.
And a lot because the doctors don't understand. Fibromyalgia is one thing most doctors just dismiss completely. Some other doctors are coming on board now, and they don't really understand unless they rule everything else out when they don't have an explanation. It depends on your area, it depends on your doctor, so it's tough. But there is definitely a connection if you've had a brain injury, and with fibromyalgia patients where they've done studies asking them if they've ever had a brain injury, and there's overwhelming yeses with that. And even with brain injuries, how they affect you as far as post-concussion syndrome. It could be where you were hit, what lobe, the damage, the force, how strong it was, how old you were, if you're male or female, prior injuries.
Age, did you say age?
Age, second impact. If you're female and over 40, you're at a higher risk. So, yeah.
It's a good thing she's only 29, so, yeah. All right, well, with that, unless you have anything else you want to share, I think what I wanted to close with, the most important thing is
don't give up.
Don't give up. And if you are in a relationship with somebody that has a traumatic brain injury or autoimmune or fibromyalgia, any of those things, get help. Talk to somebody. Find somebody a good friend or somebody that has good, quality uplifting.
And there are a lot of support groups for that, and that's one thing social media is good for too. There's pages, I think, on Instagram too, but Facebook for sure, like support groups within each, and so you can for sure relate and talk, and you might hear a therapy or something that somebody did that you might not have heard of before, as well, that it can really be beneficial.
So there's a lot of help out there, and what I wanted to say was, it's easy to listen to your friends and family that will tell you, well, because they're going through this, they can cause divide, right, in a relationship. And tell you, you don't need to tell you as that person's support group that you can walk away, that you don't, that she can get help somewhere else. If it's that stressful for you, you can walk away from it. And I know, and that, thank God, didn't happen in our case. Our family's been, for the most part, very supportive. But there's a lot of relationships and friends and stuff that will not understand a brain injury. Well, and they'll cause division in your marriage. Find good friends that will support your marriage and support you while you're going through the process of relearning each other.
We have had, and you have to be strong. You cannot let, Jesus is the glue that holds your marriage together, and nobody should be coming between it. So.
Amen.
So, amen. Bam.
All right, we good?
Yeah. What else did you want to talk about?
And that was pretty much it. When we started on inflammation, I really wanted people to understand, especially within marriage, how tough it can be on the marriage. And if you don't have the right friends and support group, it can just rip you apart.
And certain foods can just irritate it and make it worse. And the impact, they last in the body. So eating something that's inflammatory, like out of a craving, could have effects that will spring up shortly after you've eaten it. So,
like if you eat chili and then you have gas. No, that's not what we're talking about at all. It was on my mind.
How is it on your mind?
You're talking about eating food and having an effect.
Talking about breads and stuff.
Beans.
That's very inflammatory.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to understand from a guy's point of view. So if I eat something that's, it has an effect on your body functions. Sorry. All right. I think we'll close with that.
I'm thinking about chocolate, though.
Bask in my ambiance, baby. All right, guys. We're gonna take off now. We're rambling at this point, but there's so many more issues that we can cover with this. But when these Facebook lives get really long and rambling, I know people stop listening. So we hope that you listen to this and take to heart some of the things that we've said and take it in the nature that we intend it to come in. So
that there's things that can help. There's things in nature, natural ways.
People, support, foods, and one other thing I wanted to say: if you're in that state and you decide to go with the pharmaceuticals, there's no shame on you for doing that if it works. All we're saying is,
and some have their place,
right?
But sometimes things are overprescribed, and they
and have nothing to do with what you're going through.
Yeah, and they can make things worse. So you really need to educate yourself.
It's education on all the way around. Yeah. You have to do the research. You have to. You can't just blindly take prescriptions anymore, and you can't always accept that certain natural things are what's going to work for you. So you have to do your research on both ends of this. But we say, with that, it's better to look into a natural, holistic way of dealing with it than going the pharmaceutical way, because chances are there's going to be you're not going to have the crazy side effects, and your body will be able to absorb the foods.
Food is medicine. You have the right certain foods, certain nutrition. Your body does its job of healing itself.
Right.
Just like, when you cut yourself, or when, whatever, your body is very capable,
Yeah, our body was designed.
But when things, affect the immune system, things go a little wacky.
Our bodies are designed to self-heal if you give it the right raw materials to do so. Your gut culture and all that stuff matters, but if you're putting garbage in, and then on top of that, so if you're eating bad, drinking bad things, then you're putting the pharmaceutical on top of that. You're really developing a culture within your body and a whole system to systematically start to break down. And then, of course, we think, well, it's just because of the disease or because of age or because of this, but a lot of it has to do with what we put in. Your body will use the tools, right, that you give it, and if you give it healthy, natural, enzymatically alive foods and minerals, it's going to repair.
And some things are adaptogens that I talk about in here too that help the immune system. So if it's overactive, it calms it down, as in the case of autoimmune, when your body attacks itself, mistakenly, attacks itself. And if it's not active enough, it boosts it. So that's what we talk about, and what I discuss in these too as well, that, in that way, food is medicine. There's certain things you can do that help regulate your systems in the body without having to take something with an enormous amount of side effects,
right.
That you could avoid.
Right, absolutely.
Not every time, but,
right.
So. If somebody needs on a certain medication with their doctor, I'm not saying go against what your doctor tells you, but just to educate yourself and really check all the side effects and interactions, because a lot of times things are missed, and there's not every time you have to take a heavy drug for something, when something natural could really help, very easily without,
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, show them the book one more time before we close out.
Well, it's backwards on there, so it's just like this. It has the brain, and it's more highlighted around the brain.
So, autoimmune disease and
fibromyalgia,
the
traumatic brain injury connection.
On pre-sale until...
I was running it through this weekend because I'm waiting for, I'm wondering if I'm not sure if I'll extend it a few days, because I have to see when it's released to Amazon.
If you want to know more about the book, or if you want to get the book
it's already available.
While it's in pre-sale, you can get, again, $12.99, no shipping. Just contact us and we can get it to you. Then once it's fully released, it's going to be $15.99 plus shipping.
And then it'll be available in a ton of outlets. So
now's a very
and local stores,
right. Yeah, we just found some other outlets especially for the e-books.
For the e-books,
so there will be this one's gonna go well. We have it already. It's the potential to go worldwide with this in different bookstores. So we're really excited about that. And we really appreciate everybody's support that has been supporting us, and for listening to our meanderings. So God bless you guys.
Yeah, don't give up. There's always hope. Soli Deo Gloria.
Peace
Bye.
out.